Hello everyone. Hey, hello guys. Hello. Yeah, I'm live a little bit earlier today, guys. Okay, audio is doing perfectly fine. Let's see, let's make sure my, let's see. I think the audio is fine, right? Guys, let me make sure I can move my mic a little bit. Okay. I think we're solid here, guys. Hello. Oh, everyone's just joining in now. Okay. Hey, Dinodi, what's up? Thank you for that goat emoji as always. Damn, I'll call you Mr. Goat Man. Alright. Okay, well, I think everyone should have received their notifications on YouTube. Yeah, so let's begin. So the thing that you guys are seeing right now on your screens is the VIX futures, right? This is the volatility index futures, and currently it's up slightly, and it makes sense. I mean, after a day like today, right? Since it closed a couple hours ago for VIX futures here for the day of Monday. It kind of makes sense that we're doing this, but obviously we can't really chart the VIX because if you take a look at the SPY 500 futures here, right, we basically saw a pretty wide range day, and it seems like so far overnight we're starting to consolidate here, so that's pretty much normal. I mean, it's not too crazy, but one thing to note. We did reject at a pretty big area of supply at the daily 200 SMA and the daily 10 SMA, right? So we're close below it. Now, I also like to see if you're looking for a bottom, right? There is a process to it, right? Especially when you're involving the moving averages like the SMAs or the EMAs. Hey, what's up, guys? Hello. So, I see more people coming in. All right. So, guys, also we're starting a little bit early too, so if anyone was just confused as to why the stream is happening now, we're just starting a little bit earlier. So what we're seeing here is the daily 200 SMA is a very key pivotal area of SMA, right? Or very key SMA point. That's what I meant. So what I like to see for a potential bottoming to occur is the 200 SMA, even if it looks like it's about a flat line, it's still curling up higher. And that's what we want to see, because usually when we start to see, like, you know, for example, my short-term SMAs, my 10 and 21, they begin to curl lower as the price begins to go lower. That's not a good sign, right? That means the overall trend is most likely going to be confirmed to the downside. And so if we want the longer-term trend to hold, we will want to see the daily 200 SMA continuously curling up higher, or at the very least, even if it's flatlining, it's still, you know, pointed upwards, right? Even like, for example, like right now, the velocity of this upward trend for the 200 SMA has been slowly slowing down, essentially, right? But now we're still curling up higher, right? So we want the price to immediately catch up to the price, the price to immediately catch up to the 200 SMA and break back over it, right? That's what we would ideally want to see. Does that make sense? Okay, so hopefully, yeah, okay, awesome. I see your guys' reactions there. Nice. Okay, so with that being said now, okay, if you go back to SPY, so we actually retested the daily 200 SMA. So I had to move this out of the way for you guys, but I think I had it around like this, right? So obviously it didn't play out like exactly the way I wanted it to play out, but we were able to at least close back over a pretty significant support level at 654.50. This is a very significant level, support level in the past, and back in October and in November when we had those very brief but quick expansions in market vol, right? If you take a look at the VIX and compare it to, yeah, see, do you guys see here, October and November, right? So now what's interesting about the current VIX is that it's everywhere, right? Excuse me, guys. And usually when we start to see kind of these large rejections at this value of near 30 here, and today we reached 30 as well at open, it could be a sign that things could be calming down just a bit, even though if market vol levels are elevated. And that's something that I highlighted a couple months ago too. Well, I would say around 2 months ago, about a month and a half ago, I would say to be exact, that don't expect to see, even if the VIX does go back down, don't expect to see the VIX to stay at the ideal preferred, well, just ideal lower values at, you know, at 20 or even below 20, right? And that's exactly what we've been getting, right? We're essentially at a very wide range now with these VIX values between 20 and 30, which obviously is not good for the overall markets as well. But again, this is kind of the reality that we're in now with the overall market conditions, and for the fact that that the futures as well on S&P 500 here has that the ranges have widened so much, right? I think we're gonna be seeing a lot more wider price ranges, like just like what I've shown you guys on SPY. I think it was last week on last week's stream, right? I kind of gave you guys kind of this potential overview as to what SPY could be doing for the rest of this year, right? Very wide ranges, and again, we could potentially, again, just like what we saw in the period between December 2014 to about June to July 2016, right? We just moved sideways, right, for over a year and a half. So, so I think there's something that you guys should be watching out for. This is a real possibility, and this could still be over 20 during this entire potential sideways action. Okay, so something to watch out for. But yeah, that's kind of it for the market summary. Nothing much has changed. I would say things would have changed slightly if we were to, or if we did close over the daily 200 SMA, but that's not the reality here. And we ended up with, it's still not that very ideal, but it's okay to see that the price did close over the 654.50 whole number support level. But we just still have to be very cautious here as we head towards the end of the quarter and into the new second quarter of this year already. Okay. All right, so with that being said, let's take a look at Reddit. So this is the main topic for tonight, and it was the very first ticker in the list of this week's CFO Swinger Watch Report. And if you guys don't know what the list is, it's the Momentum Mentions list. And this one has been potentially building up momentum. All right, it doesn't have momentum yet, but it's been building out and basing out extremely well as the markets have continued to move lower, right? Yes, Reddit was one of those stocks that had the entire software carnage hit them, but even then, right? Because again, the software carnage began around, I would say, late October, some early on into October, right? Around early October is when we saw a lot of software stocks already selling off. But Reddit, on the other hand, was actually consolidating. And into the end of this year, we actually got a nice big push up higher on Reddit, and actually we caught this move. So, you know, if Reddit has been basing since the year began, right? Well, at least since February, right? While the markets continue to have these massive oscillations and eventually a break to the downside in the most recent weeks, Reddit has just been slowly consolidating. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Reddit has become almost undervalued if you are looking at the growth factors with Reddit. I mean, if you just take a look, so let's quickly go over some fundamentals that really mean a lot to me when I take a look at fundamentals. For example, the operating margins have become positive in the last year, I believe. And let me actually look up the percentages. I believe I had it here. I think they became positive operating margins wise. I had it here. I know I had it here somewhere. Give me a second, guys. I had it here somewhere. If I don't have it, then it is what it is. That's odd. I wrote it down on my phone somewhere. Maybe that was my laptop here. Anyways, so the operating margins were basically negative, in the negatives, right? Negative percent, but they were able to quickly turn that around, and actually, what do you call it? I think in about let's see. I think about like 3 quarters. I think 3 or 4 quarters. They're able to turn a positive operating margin, which is insane, considering the fact that it has only been 3 quarters, and I think it went from like 1%. Right, that was their first positive quarter of operating margins, and then it jumped up to like 30%. I think that's what it was. Yeah, it was like 30% in the next 3 to 4 quarters. So that's amazing. And in that same period, they were able to turn a positive free cash flow as well. And that's continuously been going up higher too. And that's mostly from very good management from the board members, the directors out there in the company. They're obviously the higher margins is essentially what allowed the positive free cash flow, and also just overall good financial management of the company. I think they were really just focusing on CapEx as well, since CapEx tends to be a huge thing for social media platforms. It was a big thing for Facebook in the past before they turned to meta platforms. I think it's called Meta Platforms, right? Their company name now. No, yeah, Meta Platforms. Yeah, I'm second guessing myself here. So yeah, so for them to be so early on in this really sound financial and fundamental growth metrics, it's a good sign here. And the fact that the stock has sold off during the entire period where they saw a massive jump in positive free cash flow, and the growth alone in the positive free cash flow is amazing. And the fact that again the operating margins jumped from 1% to about I think it's over 30% now, just a little over 30% in about 3 to 4 quarters is pretty amazing to see as well too. So I think it's particularly interesting to see as well, where I believe their SBC, or their stock-based compensations, actually halved. I think more than halved last year. I wrote it here too, right? So significant lowering of SBCs, stock-based compensations, and that's something that I actually look at as a positive, because lately most tech companies, most software companies have actually seen significant growth in SBCs, right? It's ballooned for a lot of companies, and honestly, I think it's kind of getting out of hand. It's become a little bit overblown. Maybe the board members are becoming a little bit overindulgent on SBCs. Yes, maybe they're doing great at growing, at driving growth in the companies, and they deserve these SBCs. But for a company like Reddit here, where the overall bull case is very, very, I would say the bull case is definitely take my words with a little bit of salt here, but I think the bull case has a lot more foundation than the bear case, because of the fact that the management is so good, and the fact that the revenue growth, there's a lot more potential for the revenue growth. Now, I don't know exactly how they're growing their revenue, but I know the fact that Reddit has actually benefited a lot from this AI revolution, especially from large language models, LLMs, and I think they have an uncapped revenue growth as well, or potential, because I've read somewhere where with their current partnership with Google, they're actually not. My memory is failing me here, but I'm not too proficient with the overall large language model and AI stuff, but I believe when it comes to their licensing deals and just the overall partnership with Google, they have a lot more potential to churn even greater amount of revenue than they're currently making now, which is again pretty good. I think it's something to do with how they're getting paid with their licensing deals and the data that they're getting or giving to Google, if I'm not mistaken, for their large language models. I think because I know that Reddit gets revenue from Google's Gemini, their Google's in-house large language model, and also from ChatGPT. I'm pretty sure, but I know for sure from Google's Gemini that they're getting a pretty good amount of revenue, and the one thing that I remember when I read this a couple of weeks ago, Reddit has a potential to actually have 100% profit margins off of that revenue, which is absolutely amazing. And the fact that if that becomes a possibility, right? The fact that the board members have actually approved lowering their SBCs, right? I think that really shows the overall integrity of the management and the fact that they're actually trying to focus on financial growth, especially a sound one at that. I think that's a very good company to be looking for the long-term future, which is the reason why I essentially titled this live stream as a generational buy, right? A potential generational buy, right? Because I really think it is, because with this very well, it wasn't on the actual title of the stream, but on the actual what do you call it? The thumbnail of this video, this live stream, right? I think it really is setting up as a generational buy, especially if we're starting to see the price basing here from a technical perspective as well. So again, the fundamentals and the technicals are there, right? And well, I don't know exactly with the technicals just yet, even though because again, we are basing here and we're basically moving inversely to the markets, and the fact that in the previous times Reddit has really just held off of any sector weakness, again software sector weakness specifically, as we saw in late 2025, but then again right now Reddit really is consolidating here. And on top of this, during this entire consolidation, there was a director, I think her name was Sarah, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, what's up, man? Hello, welcome guys. The director had, I think it was unplanned purchases as well. Two separate purchases that are huge in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And so she's been building a big position, but that's kind of been a little bit offset by the CEO, who has been unloading shares. So that's something that I should mention as well, so that I don't sound too overly biased. Okay, but it is important to note that this director has made two unannounced or unplanned, stock purchases that are each over $100 million worth of a position, right? So she actually averaged down the second position. So it's interesting to see how this will play out as the stock continues to consolidate for the last month and a half here. So, I think from that fundamental perspective, where we're seeing again, the forward revenue growth looks exponential so far, especially if they decide to, I believe it has to do with restructuring the licensing deal and the overall deal that they have with ChatGPT plus Google's Gemini, right, the AI platform and chatbot, and the fact that they could potentially be benefiting nearly 100% profit margins off of that revenue, which I don't know how that's going to happen. But again, their overall profit margins are amazing as well. I mean, if you just take a look at their operating margins too, which again, I think it was early or mid last year, they went from 1% operating margin to like 30.50% is if I'm remembering correctly, most recently. So 1% to 30.50% in that time frame is very short and very impressive, right? So, I think if the projections, these growth projections based on those fundamental metrics continue to go up higher, and exponentially explode higher. I think the share price that we're seeing right now could be very much a good dip buy, and eventually the price will catch up to those growth projections, specifically regarding revenue, operating margin, free cash flow, and etc. Does that make sense? Right, and that's the reason why I think, in my personal view, right, I think the bull case has a stronger foundation compared to the overall bear case for Reddit. Now, obviously, from a technical perspective, if you're just taking a look at this from a surface level, on a technical perspective, we are making a bear flag, unfortunately. But again, you have to kind of consider the overall relative strength that Reddit has had compared to all the other software stocks and social media companies out there that are public, right? So again, Reddit still has yet to even retest, right, the lows of its IPOs, even the range from its IPOs, or even the most recent low that we saw back in April of 2025, right? So I will also mention that we have been seeing a nice ascending support trend line holding here from that April low. So, who knows, this might just be a nice sideways W or double bottom forming here for Reddit. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. I see way more people jumping in now. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below. And if you guys are new here, and if you guys have been hearing me since the live stream began, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We are still on our way to 700 subscribers, and hopefully maybe even 1,000 if you continue on this momentum with the subs here on the channel. So that'll be very awesome to see by the end of this year. But again, if you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And once you hit that subscribe button, you guys can actually see the notification bell icon coming up, and you guys should click on that notification bell as well, so that you guys know when I am live or when I have uploaded a new video. Okay, so that's my entire thesis on Reddit, and the reason why I think Reddit really should be given a chance here, at the very least. Starting a starter position with a couple of shares here at these lows, and maybe potentially dollar cost average into the future, as long as we continue to see these really exceptional future projections based off of all the 3 to 4 fundamental metrics that I've just talked about with you guys. And the fact, also on top of that, again, those 2 unplanned insider transactions from that director. She made those 2 huge buys, even though again it's a little bit offset by the actual CEO unloading his shares, which were planned. But again, it doesn't feel nice, when you see the CEO selling his own shares, especially as the stock continues to move lower or say sideways, right? So and the very last thing that I want to talk about is the fact that I'm summarizing this now, but again, they significantly lowered their SBC, right? Their stock-based compensations for their board members. I think it went, it was more than half that was cut from the original SBCs that they had in the last year. So that's something that you won't really see much lately with tech companies, because again, they always reward a lot of the board members, as again, it is well deserved in some companies, but there's a lot of companies who are burning cash just solely off of SBCs alone, right? So, and they refuse to let down on that too, and in fact, they continue to increase it quarter by quarter. So, I think with Reddit cutting the SBCs by more than half of what they've had initially, I think around like midpoint of last year, I think it's very. It shows that they have a lot of integrity with what they do, and I think they're really focusing on producing sound financial results every single quarter, as they focus on growth that it isn't based off of leveraging debt or mismanagement of capital. And again, they're just focusing on lowering capex, or even just simply optimizing capex. Right? I mean, that's something that I think a lot of companies should focus on. They don't really have to completely reduce capex, even though that should always be the goal. But if they're overall generating enough cash flow, enough revenue, where growth projections continue to climb up higher for both of those 2 metrics alone, I think it's great. But of overall, Reddit's operating margin and overall profit margins as well is extremely good already, right? So I think even just the overall margin perspective alone, the margins perspective alone is a good enough reason to just nibble on getting some starters on Reddit here for the longer term. Does that make sense? So that is my overall perspective on Reddit here, and I really think that you guys should give it a shot. I mean, obviously, Reddit's options, if you guys are trying to use options for maybe leaps, is a bit expensive. So again, getting some shares should be less compared to the option contracts that are worth currently thousands of dollars. And if you take a look at any of the leaps, especially into 2027. So again, just nibble on some shares. I really don't think it's a bad area here to start nibbling on some shares as it continues to move sideways for the past 7 weeks, including this week so far. So yeah, that's my overall thesis there for Reddit. I most likely will do a deeper dive into Reddit next week, and next week's CFO Swinger Watch Report, maybe give it an official long-term investment idea. So yeah, watch out for that for any of the readers who are looking at the stream now. But yeah, if you guys have any questions on Reddit, technically too, as you guys see on this weekly time frame, please ask away. But other than that, let's take a look at the next ticker here that I want to talk about tonight briefly, other than Reddit, and that is NXT. So this is the major let it load here. Major solar leader here. And this one has been completely unfazed by the overall market action since late last year and into this year. And in fact, when it sold off a little bit here, well, quote unquote sold off, we really didn't. It was just a simple retest at the weekly 10 and weekly 21 SMAs, which it has been riding since early last year, by the way. This one has seriously been on a super cycle of an uptrend so far. It's completely ignored what the markets have been doing, and I even said this back when we had our initial idea for long entries for swing trades over 62.10 and 92.10, right? I mean, just take a look at this. Even just in between these two entry points, that's a $30 difference, right? So I think, well, exactly a $30 difference, right? So, you know, I think NXT has a lot more room to go from a technical perspective, even though, yes, it is becoming slightly extended now. It has had massive I would say three leg up hires, right? All right, 3 legs up here. Okay, there's the first one, second one, and third one, and potentially a fourth one could be building up here based on how it's been consolidating at these all-time highs, right? I mean, especially for the last couple of months here, since this year began, it's simply just been consolidating. Yes, the ranges are massive, but this stock has been making massive ranges either way, as it has been curling up higher and higher and higher. So this is something that I really want to bring up to you guys. I don't really think NXT would, excuse me guys, I don't think NXT would really try to push lower at any point from today, right, this week to maybe into the end of Q2. I think NXT continues to consolidate. If it decides to move lower, I think it might just move sideways for the time being, maybe being stuck between this very tiny supply area from 123 to 124.50. But again, this one just has been so superbly strong. I mean, it's hard to see this moving downward, especially as solar has gotten a lot more attention now, especially from as oil continues to show volatility, and the fact that crude oil just today, right, actually showed a little bit of a capitulation, and hopefully we can see it moving lower for the sake of our gas, right, our gas prices across the nation. But obviously, you know, we're also seeing natural gas and liquefied natural gas, LNG prices skyrocketing too, due to the fact that we had a major missile hit and I forgot, it was Qatar or maybe Saudi Arabia. I think it was Qatar, but one of the major sites of LNG production and export as well, export area in Qatar for LNG was hit over the weekend. So, you know, it looks like we're really seeing a crunch in both crude oil and natural gas supplies. So we're already seeing a lot of other countries out there, especially third world countries, asking their citizens to actually ration their uses of energy, which is insane that we were seeing this conflict actually affecting one of the basic human necessities in the modern world, especially when it comes to crude oil and natural gas. Unfortunately, we've always known that these two commodities are very volatile and we shouldn't be dependent on them, which is, again, now we can turn around and see that why solar can actually be a very, very good alternative, and has been a good alternative. And in fact, for the last 3 to 5 years since COVID actually happened, the cost to produce solar cells and has been overall been skydiving, right? They've been nosediving actually, even more recently in the last 3 years. And to generate solar power has actually become a lot cheaper compared to even drilling oil. So, you know, it's interesting to see how cheap green energy sources have become. So I really don't like to see arguments where people are saying, you know, oh, you know, green energy is too expensive, it's becoming, it's just a hassle to use, or just, or the fact that, you know, the green energy industry is not big enough, which is absolutely untrue, because the entire global energy, I believe, no, not even the global energy, but the entire globe has actually seen a huge demand for green energy. And so for the fact that the US, the rhetoric in the US specifically has been pretty against green energy is baffling to me, when the fact that the overall world has been actually moving forward with green energy, and actually they've been profiting off really well with green energy, because, well, there's a lot of opportunities there when it comes to wind power, hydroelectric power, I believe biofuel power, and obviously solar power as well, right? So, you know, I think I think the markets are starting to realize that, and that's the reason why we're seeing a lot of solar players, and not just solar generating players like, you know, First Solar or NXT here, right? Or Solar Edge. You know, they've all been going up higher, right? Well, First Solar is now in consolidation mode, but, you know, Solar Edge here, which was a very nice trade idea from the last week. Yeah, last week or 2 weeks ago, I think now. And you know, Generac, right? Generac, GNRC has been a huge beneficiary to this entire solar run up. And especially as the climate becomes worse, as we're seeing a lot more stronger storms, and that is a fact, okay? Hopefully I don't have a lot of climate deniers here in this stream, because or even on the replay, because again, these are facts, these are objective facts, right? It's not objective facts about the climate changing. It is not going to, they're not going to care, right? Mother Nature is not going to care whether or not your opinion on itself is true or not, right? It's true, right? Right? There's no arguing here, right? The data is true. The overall Earth has been growing hotter since the Industrial Revolution, right? We have been keeping this data, and again, it's baffling to me where people just completely ignore objective stats, right? So it's more beneficial to be seeing the green energy industry expanding. Yes, there's still going to be pollution, right? That's a fact. As long as humans are here on this earth, that's a fact. But we can reduce that, right, with solar energy, right? So little lesson there, right? And again, I always hear that argument where, oh, you know, solar energy is still going to be, you know, even just producing, you know, solar cells, right? It's going to cause pollution. Yes, everything that we do as humans is going to cause pollution, cause pollution. Yes, but guess what, right? Drilling for more dirty energy and oil and natural gas, has a significantly more impact, right, compared to you know, solar, right? So, or any other clean energy alternatives. Okay, so with that being said, okay, I think again NXT clear winner and leader, along with First Solar, obviously, but First Solar already had its moment. I think NXT has a very good chance to be, well, it actually is holding the crown in the Solar group here. So I think NXT really is something that you guys should be looking at. I really would not just push this off and just not include it into you guys' watch list. So please keep NXT on watch. And yeah, that's pretty much it for tonight, guys. I think I went over everything that I wanted to go over, especially for Reddit. I gave you guys my overall summary. Obviously not in detail, but I gave you guys the key pointers as to why I think Reddit really has that potential. And again, I really have to go back to and finding that article that I read about where Reddit is not using its full potential when it comes to the large language model deals that it has with Google's Gemini and OpenAI's ChatGPT. So I think, again, just the overall revenue growth and projections that it has, it looks pretty solid. All right, I think the projections are like at, what is it, like 500, more than 500 million compared to where it's at now. Right, so it's adding on top of that 500 to like 600 million, I think. So, and the fact that they're keeping most of it as well, it's pretty awesome to see. I mean, the operating margins again exploded, absolutely exploded. So that's really good to see. Okay, so again, this is not financial advice. It's not, I'm not recommending you guys anything to buy. I'm just saying that, you know, I'm suggesting that there's a potential for you guys to at least start a starter position, maybe nibble on it around here as the price continues to consolidate above this massive macro ascending support trend line that extends from the April lows of last year, right? It's quite literally perfect when you draw this trend line. Okay, so again, hopefully maybe we can start to see some sort of a nice sideways W or double bottom forming here since April's lows. Okay, does that make sense? Hey, okay, awesome. I see you guys' likes there. All right, well, that's it for tonight, guys. I'll see you guys on Wednesday at the same time at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be talking about two specific tickers that I really want to go over. One is Netflix and one is LITE, Light, Lumentum Holdings. Okay, so those are, well, one is going to be based on the long bias and the other is going to be based on a short bias. You guys can do your own conclusions as to which one is long and which one's short that I have a bias on there between those two tickers. All right, Netflix and FLX and LITE Lumentum. Okay, all right, thank you guys so much for joining tonight, guys. I see a lot of people joined tonight, and again, thank you guys for sticking with me to the end here and clicking that like button down below. And also, if anyone is new here, if you guys learned something, and if you guys maybe even just think that I gave you guys a potential trade idea or ideas in this live stream alone, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button as well. On top of that, hit that notification bell too, so that you guys are notified when I am live or when I have uploaded a new video. And usually, for anyone new out there, my live streams are from Mondays and Wednesdays from 8:30 p.m. Excuse me, 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Oh, and one last thing, guys. If you guys really want to join the CFO Swinger Watch Report, which again I highly recommend you guys to try it out for at least a month, make sure you guys hit that description box. Right, my description, my description box is kind of long, so make sure you click on it, expand it, and you guys will see that there are a bunch of links down there. But the very second link, right, it's the only second link there that's on the description box. It will lead you to the subscription page for the CFO Swinger Watch Report, and you guys can get a chance at trying us out for a month. And now, one last thing to add on that, if you guys can DM me on Instagram at ChartsFocus1. I will be giving you guys a discount code. Don't let anyone know that, okay? just between me and you guys, right? Just between me and you guys. Okay, so if you guys want to try us out for a month, I will give you guys a discount code for that. Okay, so just DM me on Instagram at chartsfocus1. Again, if you guys don't know how to spell that, well, you guys are on this channel here, so my name right there is, well, spell that right for you guys, right here on the channel. chartsfocus1. Okay. Alright, so make sure you guys DM me on Instagram at chartsfocus1 to grab that opportunity. But other than that, I will see you guys on Wednesday at the same time at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys check the description box down below for that link. Alright, okay, have a great rest of your night and good luck tomorrow.